All right, let's do it. Hey, Amit.
Let's begin.
Yeah,
Hey, Adam,
yeah. Welcome to the 12-hour podcast, Amit.
and welcome to you as well. Also, I have a good news. It's good that you're standing because you might be jumping after this.
Oh,
We have our first comment.
do we really?
Yeah, I was scrolling through our channel and I stumbled upon this statistic, one comment, and it was on the Bhang video that we talked about,
Ah,
where we were discussing Bhang cannabis.
I see.
Yeah. So I was pretty excited to see what the comment would be, but it turned out to be some kind of spam, I guess. It was just a single word comment, promo SM. Now, what's that?
I don't know. Sounds like spam to me. Sounds like spam for
Hmm.
sure. And I noticed that the last video got 3 views. So I think we need to reiterate a few things here to all the people that don't watch these videos.
Yeah,
Do you want to
they
do
are.
the honors, or do you want me to do it?
All right, I'll try because you are usually the one who explains things. So this time I'll try.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a channel who is not trying to get any viewers, no subscribers, negative if possible,
Yeah.
but that's not happening. We are trying as bad as we can do in terms of quality, in terms of production, in terms of content.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
think
I
maybe
think
we
it's
are
pretty
giving
well
them
said.
too good of a content.
I think it's pretty well
Yeah, I
said.
think we are.
I think it's very well said. The
That's
goal of this podcast is to be as horrible as possible, and because we're trying to differentiate ourselves from all the other things that are going on in YouTube. Everybody's trying to make the highest production quality types of videos, make things as interesting as possible. And we're not going to do any of that on here. We talk about whatever we want to talk about, and the goal is to only care about what we want to talk about. And if you don't like it, well, that's perfect, because that's how we're going to differentiate ourselves. We're going to differentiate ourselves by getting no viewers, no subscribers, nobody to comment, nobody to like, nobody to ping the notification bell. We're not going to do any of that stuff around here. We're just going to hang out, and Ahmed and I are going to chat it up about whatever. Totally unscripted. We don't know what we're going to talk about, and that's kind of part of the fun of it. Did I miss anything?
yeah. The bottom line, you are not going to be entertained.
Oh, yes. Very well said. Very, very well said. Yeah. This is going to be the most boring way to spend your time. So, really, you shouldn't even bother spending your time like this at all. It'd be a total waste. Go out and do things. Go out for drinks with your friends, or go for a walk outside, or play video games, or just sleep, or do basically anything else besides watching this.
In fact, this video can help you put to sleep.
Very
You can
well.
just put it on and turn your screen down.
Yeah, and turn the volume off too, and you'll go to sleep in no time.
That's the easiest way to go to sleep.
Yeah. No sound, no video, and you just shut your phone off, and then this will make you sleep beautifully.
Yeah.
Well,
And we hope you have good dreams.
yeah, we hope you have very good dreams. Share them with us in the comments, but also don't share them, but also share them at the same time. You know what I mean?
If they are weird and crazy, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we got all that out of the way, and we let it, all the people that don't watch this, because nobody's going to watch this, know how things work around here. Let's let's talk about some random stuff. What's been going on with you, Amit, this week? Why are we doing the podcast on Sunday evening for me and Monday morning for you rather than Friday and Saturday.
Yeah. So yes, we are 48 hours late, and
Which is your fault, by the way.
why? Yeah, I accept that, but why are we late? The simple answer is I was partying too much.
Good for you.
I was I had two back-to-back party nights,
Good for you.
so that's the long and short of it.
Good job, buddy. I'm proud of you. If there were going to be any reason why we were doing this 48 hours later, I would want it to be because of that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So what were you doing? Like, tell me about your escapades.
Uh, so one of them was with friends. There was this crazy IPL match.
IPL. What's IPL?
IPL is the domestic cricket.
Okay. But what does it stand for? What's
Uh,
IPL
and
stand for?
Indian Premier League.
Okay. You got to remember, I don't know anything about cricket.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought we had talked about cricket
We
once,
did, but I
but
forget.
I guess yeah, yeah. It was about Test cricket, I guess. But this is T20, which is the shortest form of the game, which means there is only 20 overs played per side,
Okay.
and the game lasts for maximum of 4 hours,
Okay.
which is much shorter than the longest version, which is 5 days.
5 days is wild.
Yeah. So this 4 hours is much more entertaining. There are lots of fours and sixes, lots of runs made.
What are fours and
Uh,
sixes?
when you hit the ball beyond the boundary, that's four. And if you hit it in air beyond the boundary, that is, it crosses the boundary without touching the ground.
Oh.
So that's 6 runs.
Why does that in my head seem like it's easy to do?
It is easy if you hit the ball right in the middle of the bat. Of course, it is pretty easy because the bowlers are bowling at 140 kilometers per hour.
Jeez.
So that's quite, yeah, that speed is crazy. So if it touches the right spot, it can definitely go easily beyond the boundary. And that
People,
is why
yeah.
we are seeing so many sixes these days.
People that are playing cricket, are they playing on horses? Or are they playing on the ground? What's the difference between the ones that are on the horses and the ones that are on the ground?
The ones on the horses, that's polo.
Oh, that's
I
polo.
don't know
That's right.
where.
That's right. That's polo. Yeah. But cricket's on the ground.
Yeah, yeah. Cricket is just like baseball.
But the ball's on the ground.
The ball, yeah, it's thrown from the shoulder height, and it bounces once and reaches the batsman. In fact, you know what? This year there is T20 World Cup, which is next month.
Okay.
It's happening in US, Canada, and West Indies
Okay.
for the first time.
Okay. Interesting. But what's the
And
okay, so in my mind, like there's also a sport where the balls are all on the ground and then they're just hitting them when they're on the ground. And they're like knocking other balls out of the way. What's that one?
what's that game? I've never seen that.
And there's
There are
like
balls,
yeah,
lot of balls.
yeah, and there's like little things that are on the ground. You have to like hit the ball through the they look like they're like just sticking out of the ground a little bit. They're like little metal kind of rods, and you take the ball and you have to shoot it through, and you have to knock other balls out of the
Right.
way. Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that sport
I've
called?
seen those, but I think I've seen older people playing that mostly.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a real sport, is it?
I don't know. I don't know what it's called now.
Maybe it's like mini golf or something.
I gotta look this up, or else it's gonna bother me a lot. Yeah, it's kind of like mini golf. What? What is the name of the sport where there are balls on the ground and people are hitting the balls with a bat and knocking balls out of the way and trying, I'm just such bad grammar, but it doesn't matter, and trying to get the balls through,
Metal loops.
yeah, I guess metal loops. It's going to know. I mean, this is ChatGPT we're talking about.
The smartest guy
Okay.
ever.
Oh, yeah. So this is croquet.
Yeah, croquet.
Croquet.
Of course, the name is so rare.
Croquet.
It's understandable to forget it.
Croquet.
Croquet, right? Croquet.
Yeah. Croquet. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Croquet. Yeah. Okay. So, but obviously totally different. But that was the sport I was thinking of as well. Okay. Anyways, it's a sport. It's an
Okay, so
actual
I
sport.
now I understand why you had this confusion, because croquet and cricket,
Yeah. Similar.
they kind of rhyme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sound similar. Okay. Anyways, you were saying I cut you off like 4 times.
Yeah, so I was saying that this time T20 World Cup is happening around you. So you can actually get a ticket and watch the game for yourself and cheer for your team as well, because Canada is also in T20 World Cup this year for the first time.
Does Canada have a good team?
No. But there are a lot of Indians as well in there.
Interesting. Are there? Is
Yeah,
there
but
like one
that's the beauty
like?
that's the beauty of the T20 game. You don't have to be a good team to beat a bigger team. It's a shorter version, so you have to smack the ball around. If you can do that, you're going to win.
Okay. Um, is there like one player in particular that's really good that's playing on the Canada team?
To be very honest, Canada, we have never seen play
Okay.
because
Oh, so you don't
it's
know if it's a bad
relatively
or,
new.
so you don't know if it's a bad team or not. We could have like the best team in the world right now, and you would have no idea.
That would be scary because India is definitely going to have a match with Canada.
Yeah. I doubt it.
But as I said, this is a very unpredictable game. So you are going to have a lot of fun if you watch it.
Okay. How much? I wonder
India's
how much
first game
tickets
is
are.
with Pakistan.
Oh, the first game is with Pakistan. Let's see. So it's called T20.
Yes, T20.
Right. Let's look this up. So T20 tickets. Canada. Let's see here. ICC T20 India versus Pakistan, Canada versus Ireland, June 7th. Let's just look this one up. Canada versus Ireland, Men's T20 World Cup 2024. Here we go, tickets. Can I get tickets from here? No, I get tickets. Let's see where this brings me. I wonder how much tickets are.
I'm guessing $200.
Okay, so price ranges. If you get the standard seats, I should share the screen with you so you can see. This. Where is the share button again? It's over here. Okay, you can see that.
Yeah.
So standard is $60, And here's the standard seats, it looks like. I don't know if those are good seats. I
Uh,
mean, I'm guessing not that great. Standard Plus is the red ones. Premium are up here. Why are seats that are further away better?
I guess those are the ones that are air conditioned ones.
Oh. And then Corner Club. I don't see the Corner Club listed here. I don't see any. Where's that color? I don't see it. I only see the premium color. But anyways, and those are $500. Geez, it goes from 120 to 500.
Hmm.
That's wild.
So the standard one, I feel, can be good because you get a chance to catch the balls.
Oh, that's kind of cool. You get to keep the ball if you catch it.
Yeah, that's the weird part. You are not allowed to take the ball. You have to return it immediately.
What? What a jip.
Yeah, but maybe they changed the rule in US because US people are used to keep the ball,
Right.
like in baseball.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you could just keep the ball, maybe get it signed.
Yeah, but the problem is the ball goes over the boundary like every over. So there'll be like 40 balls at least, or maybe it can go up to 70, 80 balls.
Jeez.
So I'm guessing that's the reason. Home runs are pretty rare
Okay. Home runs are pretty rare.
in baseball.
In baseball, yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty rare. But in cricket, it's very common. It's happening like the maximum is six balls in an over. So that's the record.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. So is that what's considered to be like when you say like over the bounds or like for 6 points, I guess, or you call it a six? That's a home run.
Yeah, it's equivalent to a home run,
Okay,
but it's much more frequent.
got it.
A home run is very rare.
Okay,
Like they pay, I guess they play 9 innings, and in those 9 innings, if uh, on an average, I think they hit one or two home runs, or maybe more. I'm
okay,
not sure.
okay. All right. Are you gonna go to a game?
I've never been to a cricket ground, actually.
But you're like the biggest fan ever. How could you not have gone?
I'm, I'm not. I'm an
Really?
average fan. Yeah.
I figured like even as much of a fan as you are, you'd go.
No, no, not really. To be very honest, the game is much more enjoyable at home because when you are at the ground, you can't even see the ball from the distance,
Hmm.
and there is no commentary happening.
Do people like? Are there specific cheers or chants or songs that people sing, or just people just go and they just watch and that's it?
Yeah, they would be cheering their favorite players. They would be cheering the team. I don't know, but people do go and watch it,
Right.
and not just a few thousand. It's like always over 20,000, 50,000 people watching every game
That's a
in
lot.
IPL at least.
Like you mean in person?
Yeah, in person.
Wow.
And oh, and by the way, I'll give you the interesting statistic.
Okay.
The crazy game that I was talking about, that we had a party over. So that game was seen by almost 100 crore people.
100 crow people?
Crore. 100 crore. That's how many millions is that? It's 100
Oh.
million.
Oh.
No,
Wow.
sorry. Oh, sorry. Wait. Not 100 million. It's even bigger. 1 crore is 10 million. So thousand million people.
That's a billion.
Yeah. Yeah. A billion
So
people.
it's
Yeah.
nine zeros.
9 zeros.
That's a lot of people.
Imagine that. Because the statistics that they show on the screen, it was like 45 crores, which is half a billion.
Why do you call it crow? Like CROW or
CRORE.
RE? CRORE. Crore. I never heard this term
Crore.
before. Is that just like a term in India, or is that just a term for like for people that
I
watch
guess, yeah,
cricket?
Indians
Or
use it. No, no, I guess Indians use it much more often. Like Western world uses million much more commonly. We
right,
don't use million, we use crores.
crores.
1
Okay,
crore is 10 million.
interesting. Let's I gotta look it up. I gotta look this up more. I gotta find out more information about this. Let's see. What is a crore? Okay. Yeah, commonly used, the unit measure commonly used in South Asia, particularly in India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan. Is equivalent to 10 million people. Okay, interesting. I guess yeah, that makes sense because things cost like in tens of millions of rupees. It's common, I guess, to spend like what's something that costs 1 crore there in
A
India?
flat, a house.
A house. Okay, so you spend 1 crore in for a house. Would you ever spend would anybody ever use the term like half a crore?
Mm, no, they would use 50 lakhs.
50 lakhs.
Yeah,
Like LAX.
LAC.
Okay, is a, a what is a lakh? Let's see. A lakh, also spelled LAKH, is a unit of measurement commonly used in South Asia, particularly in India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan. It is equivalent to 100,000. Interesting. Okay, and then what's half a lakh?
That would be 50,000.
Okay, so you would just start to get into the actual number. What's something that commonly costs 1 lakh?
A bike,
A bike.
two-wheeler bike.
A bike. Okay.
A bike or a two-wheeler vehicle, scooter.
A scooter would be 1 lakh.
Like these days, EV, electric vehicles are very common.
Interesting. 1 lakh is a scooter, a two-wheel vehicle like a motorcycle. Okay. I'm trying to like in my mind understand this. This is interesting. What would you are there any other denominations of money that have other terms that are smaller denominations?
No, the smaller ones are common. 100,000, those are common.
Okay. But like what about like like does anything ever cost 1 rupee? Can you buy anything with just 1 rupee?
A small candy
Okay, so you can buy a small
or a
candy with
chewing gum, a piece of gum.
So let me figure this out. Let's do a little bit of math here. This is interesting. So a motorcycle here would cost, let's say, $10,000, give or take.
To be honest, the motorcycle that you are looking at is pretty much a sport bike.
Right.
And we are talking about a very basic bike which is only used for transport and, getting from point A to point B. So maybe you want to look up something like a delivery bike
Like a
that they use to deliver pizzas.
like a moped.
Yeah,
Like a moped.
maybe you can see the price of that.
I mean, my buddy sells electric bikes,
Mm-hmm.
and those cost about how much? Like $2,000 or $3,000. Let's say even five
Yeah, so we
thousand.
can compare it with it.
But if you like, the thing that's interesting is so a lakh you said is 100,000 rupees, which you can buy a bike for, right?
Hmm.
And then 1 rupee you can buy like 1/100th of that, 1/100,000th of that, which is 1 rupee. You can buy candy with that.
Yeah.
Okay, that seems expensive. I don't know. Does that seem expensive to me? It seems expensive because here, if I was to do like an equivalent, so if I was to take $5,000 and I was to do like 100,000th of that, that would be like, I don't know. My math is horrible. Well, 1,000th of that would be five, and then you'd have to do another three zeros after that. So it'd be like not even a cent. It'd be like half of a cent.
Right.
And a candy here, or maybe it's more expensive here. No, it's less expensive there, I guess, then. Is it? Because that's half, that's the equivalent of half a penny, half a cent here. You can buy a candy there. Ah. Yeah, so things are less expensive there because a candy here, you would need like at least $1. Maybe if it's a small candy, maybe 10 cents, maybe 25 cents, maybe 50 cents. But that's still a lot
Maybe
more. That's still a lot more
maybe
expensive
it is
here.
that maybe just the candy is expensive there.
No, everything is expensive here.
Let's compare coffee. I think we have compared coffee before.
Yeah, I think we compared coffee too. I mean, I
So
guess
let's
it
compare
depends
pizza.
perspective, right? Because if you do it the other way around, if you say that, okay, 1 rupee is then, we'll say, is like one candy there and 50 cents is a candy here. And then you do
Mm-hmm.
like 100,000 times that for you is your bike, but only, well, let's say it's 50 cents just to keep things easy. So if it's 50 cents, oops, I mean, my math should be better than this. I should just be able to do this in my head. You're doing that times 10,000, obviously, to get to the 5,000. So for you, it's 100,000 rupees more. It's 100,000 times more for you to get the same type of bike as it is for me to get the same type of bike for only, what was that, 10,000
Hmm.
more. So I guess it depends on how you're looking at what you're comparing it to, right? If you're comparing it to
Mm-hmm.
candies going up to bikes or bikes going down to candies, it's going to seem less expensive one way or more expensive the other way.
True.
Yeah. So I guess those aren't really good measurement tools because the really only the only real good measurement tool to use would be, I guess, the U.S. dollar. That's why you have to have some sort of currency that all countries base their currencies off of to be able to get an idea of how much something actually costs.
All right. But I think another way to compare would be the GDP. What do you think?
Maybe, maybe, but I think the reserve currency is better because, like, okay, what $1 is how many rupees? Do you know?
US dollars?
Yeah,
85.
85 rupees.
Hmm.
Okay, and you said 1 rupee is a candy, right?
Yeah.
So what's the math on that? So you could do. Let's go back to
So
my calculator.
approximately 1.2 cents.
1.2 cents? Because you said 85 rupees is $1, right? So that would be, you're saying 1.2 cents for a candy there.
For a candy in, yeah, for India.
Right, which is, and then it's, here it's about the same. I mean, you can get more, like $1 here is about $1.30, let's say, here. right? So then that means I don't know. My math is I can't do math like this. So $1.30 here we get $1.30. You convert it over. Now you have $1.30, and now it only costs let's say 50 cents. So I guess I would just do 50 divided by 130, which would be 0.38. 0.38. So what does that mean? $1.30. Maybe it's better to go zero point 0.5 divided by $1.30. So you get the same thing. Obviously, yeah. I don't know why I didn't think of that. You'll get the same number. So it's about okay, yeah. So it's about yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so it's about 0.38. It's like 4 cents American. Four cents or 40 cents? Is it 4 cents or 40 cents? 40 cents. Yeah, 40 cents, of course. So it's 40 cents American for the same candy that costs 1 cent there.
But are you sure is it the same candy? Because I'm talking about a small sugar candy which is like this big.
Have you okay, what about like that's a good point. It has to be the same candy. So do you have sour keys there?
We have something similar.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So how much
Or
would that
maybe we can
cost?
compare Hershey's bar. We can compare Hershey's bar.
Oh, a Hershey's bar. Okay, let's look that up. So what's a Hershey's bar cost there?
I think it's around 100 rupees.
100 rupees. Okay. So what is I don't even know. What is a Hershey's bar price here? It has to be the same type of Hershey's bar though. Right? Okay, I'm going to share my
Right.
screen. We got to make sure it's the same Hershey's bar. Because if it isn't, then we're not comparing the right things here. Okay, so let's see. So maybe this one at Walmart. Yeah, this is in Canada. So close this. This is about 98 cents, about $1 for this
Okay.
Hershey's bar. And this is how 45 grams. Okay, so now you have to look up in India for at least something similar. Hershey's Creamy Milk Chocolate, 45 gram Hershey's bar. How much does it cost there? And
Yeah, it's
then,
similar.
yeah,
It's not exactly same, but yeah, it's similar. So that's around 100 rupees here.
100 rupees. Okay, so now 100 rupees is, you said $1 American, right?
$1.2.
$1.2. Okay, $1.20. Okay. Okay. So, yeah. So it's about the same price then. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense because we have to import Hershey's. Hershey's is not manufactured in India.
That's interesting. So it's about the same price for a Hershey's bar. Now, we should do the same thing for
I think we should compare Domino's. It's a worldwide chain, right?
Domino's.
Or
Like you mean the
McDonald's.
pizza or McDonald's?
Yeah. Yeah, we can compare either.
McDonald's Big Mac. Let's try that. What does a Big
But we
Mac
don't
cost
have Big
here?
Mac.
Oh, what do you
We
have?
don't have Big Mac here.
Okay, what about
Oh,
just
we
a
have Big
regular?
Maharaja.
Oh, well. But does it have the same ingredients? I wonder. No, it probably doesn't have the same ingredients. Okay.
No.
What about? Okay, we got to find something that's going to be similar. What about a chicken sandwich there? Chicken burger.
A
McDonald's
chicken
chicken
burger.
burger. Yeah. How about that? You'll have a chicken burger there, right?
So I guess it would be around 200 rupees.
200 rupees. Just
That's
$2? That's it?
$2.4, yeah.
That's it? Oh, it's for sure more expensive here
Plus
for that.
plus taxes and all, so it would be 2.5 sorry, $3 you can say.
Yeah, it's going to be way more expensive here, guaranteed. Okay, junior chicken. Let's see. Beef chicken. Here we go. Chicken sandwiches. Sweet chili junior chicken, McCrispy chicken McMuffin, spicy McCrispy grilled chicken sandwich. Okay, let's do a grilled chicken sandwich. Just a plain grilled chicken sandwich. Does it give me the price? No. No, I got to look it up. I got to look up specifically the price. What is the price of a McChicken burger? Oh, here. It doesn't give me a price. Come on, man. Oh, here we go. $6.10. That's for a BLT McMuffin. Okay, it's got more.
Twice.
Yeah. Junior chicken, $3.89.
Oh, it's the same then.
Well, no, it's more expensive here.
A little, yes.
Yeah, because you got to factor in American dollars. What's $3.89? Again, I can't do that. I guess you'd have to multiply by 0.7 to get that number. 3.89 times 0.7 would be $2.70 American. Okay, so pretty close. Pretty close, because you said it's $2.40 American there.
Plus taxes.
Yeah, plus taxes. How much are your taxes there?
I guess it would go up to 10%, I'm guessing, because
Okay.
we have a very weird tax system here. Some places they go 9, some places they go 18%, and then there is service taxes and all. It's always complex.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so here's 13%. We pay more taxes than you.
Mhm.
At least in the province that I'm in. I know other provinces are less. I think we're the most expensive taxes here.
And is it standard 13% on everything?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so we have this kind of a different slab which says that on some things you don't have to pay a tax, on some you have to pay 9%, and some you have to pay 18%. So when you average it out, I think it still comes out to be 13% as you have.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe close to it. I know the other provinces are different. What are the tax rates in all provinces in Canada? I know it ranges. Oh, wow. Okay, so Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, Northwest Territories, Nunavut, Quebec, Saskatchewan, and Yukon is 5%. And then here it's 13. And in New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and Labrador, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, so the prairies is 15%. Do you know your Canadian provinces, Mister from India?
My Canadian province?
Yeah, do you know what all the Canadian provinces are?
I guess you had mentioned that there are 2 major cities.
Yeah, I guess you could argue 3. Some people would say 3. But how many provinces do you think there are?
As in states.
Yeah, we don't call them states, call them provinces, but same idea. Yeah, same idea.
So 9, I'm guessing.
10. And then 2 territories. And I think there's like a third one that they consider to be. I think they consider one like. I think there's a third technically territory. Yeah, I suppose there is. Yeah, they consider it to be separate. Now, when I was a kid, they didn't. All right, let's see if you know this. I'm going to quiz you. Okay, I for sure would not know anything. If you tried to quiz me like with India, definitely wouldn't know. 100%. Tell you that right now. But with Canada, let's see if you know. So, what province is Toronto in? What's the name of the province?
Sure. Oh.
Toronto is a city.
Wait.
But what province is Toronto in? Let's see if you know.
Toronto, Ontario?
Yeah, very good. Not bad. Not bad.
Oh, yeah.
What is the capital of Canada?
I guess I know this one. Is it Montreal or Vancouver?
Neither.
Then it's Toronto.
No.
Oh my god. Ottawa? No, Ottawa.
That's
Why
it.
did I say
was
Ottawa?
it. No, that's it.
Oh.
That's true. It's Ottawa. Very good. Not bad. You know your geography. Okay, pretty good. What province is directly to the east of Ontario?
That would be hard. Mm, province. I don't even know what provinces are, so I'll have to guess.
Sure.
What province is Montreal in?
That's the province. That's the province. Montreal's the city, and it's in the province of what?
That's what I'm thinking. Montreal, Carolina? No,
No,
Carolina has to be in US.
that's in U.S. Yeah, North and South Carolina.
So yeah, I don't really.
It's okay.
I don't think I know.
It starts with a Q.
Yeah. Q.
Yeah.
Montreal.
You know way more about
Quinoa?
Canada. No. Quinoa? Is that what you said? Quinoa?
Yeah.
That's a very
That's the
charming.
first word that came to mind.
It's a very charming answer. Very very charming. No, so it is Quebec.
Quebec.
And then there are prairies. There are the prairies that are just to the east of that. They're like little small provinces that are very like on the far east coast. And there's one island as well. So there's Prince Edward Island. It's like a pretty big island on the far east. There's Nova Scotia and New Brunswick.
Oh, so there's a Brunswick in Canada as well.
New Brunswick it's called. Yeah, New Brunswick. Yeah, yeah. And Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island. Yeah. Okay. And oh, and of course Newfoundland. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah. So there's Prince Edward Island is the small one, and then Newfoundland is a big island. Yeah. Yeah.
So is it full of Finnish people, Newfoundland?
Newfoundland, I guess so. I mean, maybe originally. It's short for newfound land.
I see.
Yeah. Newfound land. That's literally how it's spelled. Newfound land.
Also, Nova Scotia. That sounds like full of Nordic people.
Nova
Is it?
Scotia. So originally it was folks from Scotland that settled there. So Nova means new. So new, it's like New Scotland. Yeah, Nova Scotia. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We also have a new city here. It's called Navi Mumbai, which is basically New Mumbai.
Okay. Interesting. And
So it's
you say
completely
Navi.
developed out of forest land. Yeah, Navi.
Okay. And it's completely developed out of forest land. Okay. Cool.
And that is why it is much more planned, much more coordinated, clean, less chaotic.
Right. Okay. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. And then to the west of Ontario is Manitoba. And then it's Saskatchewan. And then it's Alberta. And then British Columbia is on the far west. And at the top is Northwest Territories. It takes up a big chunk of the land. And then Nunavut, which is like sort of an Inuit native type of reserves. There's a lot of native reserves all throughout Canada for sure. But specifically that area is like very much like Inuit and native folks that live there. And then as far as I know, and then there's Yukon, which is that's like right next to Alaska, essentially.
And by native people, you mean Red Indians?
Yeah, folks that, I don't call them Indians because they're not Indian, right?
Yeah, but they were called Red Indians, right?
They were called Indians because, do you know why they're called Indians?
Yeah, because of a confusion
Yep.
by Vasco da Gama.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Columbus.
Yeah. So there's confusion by folks who were settling here from other parts of the world. When they first landed, they thought they were in India. So they called the folks Indians. And they're like, we're not Indians. And they're like, yeah, you're Indians. You're Indians forever.
Yeah,
You're Indians forever.
yeah, that's the Louis C.K. bit.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. That's right. But it's true. It's true. It's so strange that we still call them Indian. I mean, they're not Indian. They're
and
native
the
to the country. That they were the
and
first
the
folks.
interesting part is that whenever they say Indians, we basically know that which Indians they are talking about: the Red Indians, or the Native Americans, or the Asian Indians.
Right.
There is never really a confusion. I
That's
don't know.
true.
It even sounds same. There is the same pronunciation, the same spelling, and yet we always know
Yeah.
which Indian they are talking about.
Yeah, no, it's strange. I guess it's just context like anything else, right? Like we use the same word to describe like the same sounding words all the time for different scenarios, but when it's in a particular context, you understand the meaning typically, but not all the time, right? How many times does it happen where somebody says something and you thought they meant something totally different because that particular combination of words could be interpreted in different ways. And even though you have the context, you can still misinterpret sometimes and think it's something different. And then when you think it's something different, you kind of the conversation ends up shifting in that direction. If you're with a friend, they realize that you've done that and misunderstood them, and they laugh about it and correct you, and then you laugh about it because it's kind of funny how we can do that. It's pretty normal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, happens quite often, I guess. Mm, And rarely, I think it happens that we mistake something because of the same pronunciation.
What do you mean?
For example, when we are talking about two cities
Hmm.
who have that have the same name. For example, there's Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Now, there's a Santa Cruz in US as well, and there's a Santa Cruz in Mumbai as well.
Oh, is there? Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So if I would be talking to someone from US, they might get confused
Right.
the first time.
Sure. That's interesting that they have a Santa Cruz there. So what languages do they speak in India, like we're in Mumbai? Like besides obviously, you know, Hindi and English. I mean, what else do they speak? What are like? I mean, like there's probably a lot of dialects and things like that. I imagine, but I'm talking about like more common language that might be also uh, like some languages that might be used in other parts of the world too.
Right. So every state here or the province here in India has a different language. But I guess India has around over 1,000 languages,
Yeah, which is
thousand
wild.
languages and dialects. Yeah. But there are 18 standardized languages which are translated as official languages,
Right. Okay.
and one of them is Marathi, which is the one that is spoken in Maharashtra and is the official language of Maharashtra and Mumbai as well.
Okay. But these languages are more like, and tell me if I'm wrong because I don't know. I'm saying this is a question. Like these languages are very native to those parts of India. They're more native. Like they're not really languages that are shared in other parts of the world, right? They're
Yeah,
more
right, right.
right. So like that's what I'm asking is like what other languages exist there besides English? And because Hindi is a pretty common language, like in a lot of different countries, a lot of countries will speak like folks will speak Hindi, obviously
Hmm.
English, but like what other languages, like Spanish, French, Italian, like German, like I don't know if any of those languages are really used there, but are there any other languages besides English there as
Okay,
well?
so Western languages are not really popular here because we already have our own languages.
Mm.
But I think I have mentioned this before that Korean language is something that is coming up because of the K drama and K-pop.
Okay.
So, so teenagers here want to learn Korean just so that they can,
That's kind of
brag
cool.
about it, I guess.
That's kind of cool. Okay, so then
Yeah.
Korean. So, because yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like where this name Santa Cruz came from. Then is it just because it just sounds like Santa Cruz, but it's not really? You wouldn't spell it the same way, or is that like a name that comes from a language that's used in India, or is it actually come from some sort of Spanish background?
I believe in the past, as you know, India was ruled by British and Portuguese.
Right.
So I'm guessing that is where, from the
Yeah, maybe from the
Portuguese
Portuguese. Yeah, that makes
ancestors,
sense.
it came from. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't making that connection. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that helps. That helps to answer that question. That was going to bother
Mm.
me.
In fact, recently the government is trying to rename everything that was named by past rulers.
Okay.
We had Muslim rulers, so there are cities that were named after Muslim leaders, and now those names are being changed. Like there was a city Allahabad,
Okay.
now it is changed, renamed to Prayagraj.
Okay. What is that name? Does that name have a significance like in English? Can you translate what that might mean?
Okay, so Prayagraj is basically the kingdom of Prayag, a
Okay.
king named Prayag who
Okay.
ruled in that city.
What does Prayag mean? Like, is there a meaning to that name though?
I'm sure there might be some meaning to it, but I'm not aware of that.
Hmm.
Prayag.
Like, do some of the names there have certain meanings? Like, for instance, in America, a lot of last names come from something in particular that somebody probably did as like a line of work.
Right, yeah.
So they were given names like Butcher or Smith because they were Smiths. They're um, or what are some other good ones? Or Cook. These names.
Mhm.
I think that's not just in
Yeah,
America; it's also in England as
right,
well, in the
right.
UK. So is
Yeah,
there?
I'm guessing it's all around the world. Yeah, in
Yeah,
India as well.
yeah.
So we have surnames like Bartleywala. We have surnames like whenever you hear a Wala surname, you have to understand that it belongs to a Parsi family.
Okay,
Parsi is, I think, Persian.
okay. Farsi.
So these
Is
are
it
the
Farsi or Parsi? Is it? I think it's Farsi, isn't it?
Farsi is the
Language.
language,
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, Parsi is a community that came to India, settled down, and I think they were from Persia.
Okay. Yeah.
So that is why Parsi.
Okay.
And they are still part of India. They are a minority group. And whenever you hear this surname, Wala, you can directly understand that they are from a Parsi family. Now, here's the interesting part. Even though they are a minority, their population is very, very small.
Okay.
But some of the biggest scientists, some of the biggest businessmen have been Parsi in India.
Hmm. Interesting.
Even the biggest companies now in India are owned by Parsi families.
Hmm.
So they
Okay.
are, like, you can say, ancestry, ancestrally loaded or something like that.
Um, are there a lot of okay? So culturally, there's a lot of folks from Persia. There's a lot of Persians that live in India. I guess
In the past, yeah,
in
but
the past, not
now,
as much now.
very, yeah, not much.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I wonder where are there large groups of people that are like very that have like very native roots, like before the British came and conquered that area, or the Portuguese, or any of these folks? Like, do you think there's a lot of do you think the like a much of the population is more descendants from when those cultures were ruling over that land, or do you think the majority of the population is from ancestry that dates far before that?
So, s I, from what I know is that the South India part is said to be the oldest part of the India,
Okay.
the most ancient part, and the most ancient language known as Tamil.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know that language. Yeah.
Now, so basically, if nobody had invaded India ever,
Hmm.
the whole India would be full of Tamil people,
Okay.
and we wouldn't be having this diversity that we are having today.
So is it that in the northern part of India, you're saying that the Tamil and the, let's say, Portuguese or British people, they ended up um, assimilating their cultures, and they're the offspring that are from the northern part of India come from descendants of um, Tamil and, let's say, British parents.
Yeah, but that happened. That happened a lot later. Actually, that happened after 1700.
Right.
Even before that, India was already invaded by Muslims. That is the Mughal Empire.
Right. Okay.
So as a result, now we have a 30% population of Muslims. In fact, we had a 50% almost population of Hindus and Muslim
Okay.
before before British left, and that is why they had to create a separate country for the Muslims, that is Pakistan.
Right. That makes sense. Because so that whole area was just one country, I suppose, at one point.
Yeah, so India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan were a single country before
Gotcha.
1947.
So then, what about the folks from Bangladesh? Then, I mean, what's their? Are they also mainly Muslim? I don't think so. Are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
they are mainly Muslims.
So I wonder what the history is between separating those countries. If there's more of a similarity between Pakistan and
Yeah,
Bangladesh.
that's a funny story actually. Uh, so when England left, they divided Pakistan in a weird way. They divided it East Pakistan and West Pakistan.
Right.
Right. So the Pakistan that we know today is West, and East Pakistan is Bangladesh. So the thing is, East Pakistan could not survive on its own.
Hmm.
It was much weaker country, and because of that, they started invading India again. Not invading, basically, they started trespassing
Gotcha.
into India again
Gotcha.
because it's a neighboring country and all. So in 1961, the prime minister was Indira Gandhi, and she decided that we are not going to allow this trespassing because that is affecting our people, a
Right.
huge Hindu population. So they fought a war against Pakistan and tried
Right.
to liberate Bangladesh. That
Right.
is how Bangladesh became a separate country from
Right.
Pakistan.
I would think there would be some sort of like it'd be mutually beneficial in a lot of ways to have more cooperation between the countries there, though. Like, there's got to be some sort
Uh,
of maybe resources that the people from Bangladesh have that are a benefit to Pakistan and India, and then resources that India has that would benefit Pakistan and Bangladesh, and Pakistan would have resources that would benefit the other two, and like I'm sure that there are like benefits to seeing a lot of cooperation because I know there's a lot of tension between especially the folks in Pakistan and the folks in India, right? Well, more the not necessarily the people. I think the people like are okay with each other.
The
It's more the
governments, yeah.
governments. Yeah,
Yeah, but I know it would feel that if they join hands, it would be beneficial, but mathematically, it won't make sense.
hmm.
It would only lead to chaos because if you see the resources that India has, the population, the area size, India has much larger resources compared to Bangladesh and Pakistan. They have a large population as well, but they do not have that area. So their population density is extremely high
Right,
compared
right.
to India,
Okay,
which means that the per capita resources that they own is much lesser. And when if we were to merge them again, the people of India will have to kind of give away their share, to say the
right,
least.
right. But
So yeah, that would be chaos.
would it be beneficial to do that just to kind of ease tensions, though?
I don't know. I don't think that's innately in the human nature to come to these middle ground terms.
Hmm.
If that were the case, we wouldn't be having Gaza war,
Sure,
Palestinian war,
sure,
all these things.
sure. I mean, I think there's going to be exceptions for sure to these situations where you would want cooperation, but there's also got to be some circumstances where it just maybe makes a little more sense to have cooperation, more cooperation. I mean, I think in all circumstances it'd be nice if there was cooperation around the board, but I think I don't know. Maybe I guess I'm just too idealistic to think that way. I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. No, I understand where you come from
Yeah.
because ideally there shouldn't be even separate countries. There shouldn't be even borders. There shouldn't be even visas.
Yeah.
Everyone should be allowed to go around the world freely.
Yeah. I agree.
But
Wouldn't that be
in
nice? But
future, maybe, yeah,
yeah.
because now I feel now we understand that they have to keep a check on people and their actions, and that is why they have these certain rules.
Yeah.
But in future, when everything is trackable, I think then we won't need so much of restrictions because uh, eventually, if anybody does something, it will be recorded in the central server.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, there won't be need for too many laws then.
Hmm. I don't know. I can't really picture a world where there won't be very many laws and there'd be more open border policies and things of that nature. Because like even you look at a country like Canada and like the country of Quebec, they've been wanting to separate from Canada for a very long time, be their own country. Which is very strange to me.
Mm.
It's very strange.
Yeah, I guess it's a result of brainwashing and politics. That is what I feel. Because it's the common people that are demanding a separate country, and the common people don't even know how to run a country. So why would they ask for a separate country? They
Yeah.
don't even know what GDP is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're just following the pack, right?
Mm.
Um, they're hearing certain narratives and it resonates with them in a particular way, so they attach themselves to it. And I think we're tribal by nature. So
That's true.
yeah. So if we see that there's people that we're close to, like family members, and we respect them, and they decide that they want to align themselves to a particular way of thinking, we're much more inclined to go along with that, even if we don't know what it's all about, because we don't want it. We want to be still part of that tribe. We want to get a sense like we belong with these people that we respect so much. So we want to do the things that they do. We end up thinking the things that they think, even if we don't really understand what we're thinking. There's a really interesting. Don't remember where I learned this from, but there was an interesting sort of thing that somebody said where they really made me think. They said something like, "How many thoughts or how many things that you say are actually your ideas alone? Like, how many of the things you say and
Hmm.
think are things that are just reiterated from ideas that you've attached yourself to, but you might not fully understand? Like,
Yeah.
how many ideas and things you say are based upon like doing a bunch of work and research and understanding all angles and all sides and then coming up with then making up your mind based upon all those things that you've learned and you've discovered and you've researched, then making up your mind as to how you think and then what you're going to say. How much of that happens? I don't know. I think probably very little. I think if we're to be honest with ourselves, probably a big part of the things that we say and think, big part of those things are just we're just reiterating some of the things that we've heard other people say that we might respect. And because we respect them, we'll listen more closely. And then we'll be like, oh, that seems to resonate with me. Okay, I'm going to remember that. And that's going to now be part of me as a person and what I think and how I'll respond in a certain situation. I'll kind of use those thoughts that somebody else had and I heard them talk about.
But that raises a very deep question, because when we say reiteration, I mean, isn't everything that we speak a reiteration? Because we are speaking a language that we did not create ourselves. Someone gave it to us. So every word
Sure.
as we speak is actually not our creation.
Well, yeah, sure, but our thoughts can be our own. Language is just a means to express our thoughts so that somebody else will understand what we're thinking. Right? So I'm talking about like deeper than just the language that we're using because the language we're using is just a means to describe the things that are going inside of our head. Right?
But when we come to think about thoughts, what are thoughts? They are also a sequence of words, a combination of words.
Well,
We can argue that.
I think it's deeper than that. I think that's too surface level. Because again, words are like if you're not taught a language, if you have no language at all, you're still going to have thoughts. You're still going to want to have things to express and be able to communicate such that somebody else will understand it, even if you have no words at all to use for those ideas. Right? It's not like just because you have no language, all of a sudden now you think nothing. Right? So thoughts and ideas
Possibly,
are
yeah. So
much deeper than just the language that we use to explain the thoughts and ideas.
now, would we be having any thoughts if we didn't have any mode of communication, any language? For example, let's say we were animals who could not communicate at all.
Well, I think animals do communicate, right? Like we would find a
But let's
way.
say,
Like the whole reason why we have language is because we found a way to communicate our ideas such that somebody else would understand them. We can connect and explain things and describe things, right? Like that's what we did. That's why we
no,
have
but
language in the first place.
let's say we are a species that cannot communicate
It's impossible to communicate verbally or in any way
anything
whatsoever.
in any way.
I
So
don't
let's
know
say
if we
we are
would have.
fungi.
I think I'm pretty sure fungi still communicate. Like we know that plant life communicates. We know that plants communicate with each
Okay.
other. So I think communication is something that's necessary in order to live.
So bacteria,
I think bacteria have a mode of communication as well. Like they like. I guess it depends on how you define communication. Because I define communications as something that is done so that other living beings or organisms would understand that they need to do something based upon the thing that you're trying to communicate, the thing that you're trying to explain for it to do. And I think it's easy to argue that bacteria do communicate because when bacteria grow to a certain number, there's certain things that happen with the bacteria. Like they might light up all of a sudden, or they might organize themselves in a particular way.
Hmm.
Like, and they also know, like, if there's food here, then they know how to use whatever resources they can, like energy that they can, in order to be able to get to that food. And then the other bacteria that might not be so close to the food can understand that other members of of the bacteria are kind of moving in a particular direction, so they might move with it. So I think there's all kinds of forms of communication. It's just we're obviously much more advanced with our communication than a bacteria, but I think bacteria still communicate to some degree. It's just very basic.
All right. So if we assume that all species can communicate, then
I think all living things communicate. I think even non-living things communicate. I'll give you an example. So
okay.
you've heard of entanglement, I'm sure, because you're a physics guy.
Yeah.
So is that a form of communication? If you take a measurement
True.
of one particle, it's spinning one way, you automatically know the spin of the other particle, even if it's separated by the whole distance of the universe, right? So
True.
is that
True. Very true.
communication?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One can definitely put that into communication bracket.
So perhaps communication is sort of ingrained into the universe itself to some degree. Is
Mm-hmm.
communication also the fact that things are attracted to one another and they form these bonds? They know, like, this is a carbon atom and this is oxygen. And then they know that they should, not that they know, like, they don't have awareness, but is that a form of communication that they bond to each other? That they have that ability to do that? Or is it just something like it just happens all by itself? Like, do we even know? Do we have enough information to even be able to make a judgment call if it's just a property of the universe and simply just a property, or if part of that property is a form of communication for for these particles to understand that they're going to end up connecting to one another because of the fact that it, just makes sense to do so in certain circumstances.
Mhm. Yes. See. So we are currently thinking of the mode of communication of the universe and its particles, and there hasn't been a language yet to explain that.
Mm-hmm.
There are no set of words that can explain that right now.
Right.
So we have that thought, but we don't have the language.
I mean, I think we maybe do. I think we could argue that we do. Because you could talk about mathematics. Mathematics seems to be a language, and it certainly seems to be a language of the universe. And we're products of the universe, and we're communicating. So perhaps it is just a property of the universe for communication to exist in all kinds of different forms.
But the question is, even if mathematics is a language that explains universe, is it a perfect language, or will it ever be complete, or will be always these spaces inside it, hollow spaces?
I don't know. That's a good question. It's a good question. Will there always be things about the language that we don't know? I think maybe to some fundamental level, it works, but in certain areas it just stops. It breaks down. Maybe like to the quantum level, or if you're dealing with things like black holes, like the inside of a black hole.
No, I'm saying maybe in future the mathematics works. Maybe.
Maybe.
But still, is it the language that will keep on evolving and fill all the holes? Is mathematics that perfect? Or maybe we need a new kind of mathematics altogether?
I bet we will probably discover that there's a new form of a new sort of language that might need to be developed to explain certain things that we're having a hard time explaining right now. I think that that'll
Yeah,
maybe
that
need to
is, I
happen.
guess that is where topology comes in. Have you heard of topology?
The word sounds really familiar, but I'm not remembering. Remind me.
Okay, so it's a mathematics or study of shapes.
Okay. Okay.
So what topology does is you can basically explain everything in terms of shapes.
Okay.
That is what topology is trying to do.
Is that different from geometry?
Geometry can be called as a subset of topology.
Okay.
All right. So in topology, like for example, we were talking about quantum physics. There is a theory in topology called quantum loop gravity.
Quantum loop gravity. Quantum loop gravity. Okay. Explain that.
So basically, it says that the particles fundamentally on a very, very, very tiny scale are small loops,
Right.
and
So
the only property that they have is gravity. Gravity is the only one force that exists, and all the other forces are just modified versions of gravity.
is this similar? Is this like sort of getting into string theory a little bit?
You can say it's a competitor of string theory because
Okay.
string theory assumes everything is a string attached to something and it vibrates on different frequencies, and these different frequencies generate different properties.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't become a part of topology.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Okay, so in quantum loop gravity, you can imagine everything as a small rubber band.
Okay.
Every particle, electron, proton, or any subatomic particle that you can think of. There are 64, by the way,
Okay. So this is like a
64 plus.
right. So this is like when you say a rubber band, you mean like more? You're trying to get me to like picture some sort of geometric shape, but I suppose it's more of like just um, like energy. It was just like pure energy,
But in a loop form.
right? And it's like it's connected up onto itself
Yeah.
essentially, which is sounds very similar to the idea, like very similar to string theory. Like I understand the difference between the two, but it just sounds like there's definitely a similarity.
Yeah, there might be, but again, as I said, they are competitors because string theory assumes that the string has to be attached to something else.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, there won't be any tension in the string.
Right. Right. That's interesting. So back to we're talking about communication. How did we get to the topic of communication? We went down like this really interesting tangent, which was kind of cool.
Hmm.
But how did we get here? We're talking about communication. We're talking about, oh, I remember. So we were talking about the idea of like which thoughts are actually our own. And
Hmm.
like I wanted to kind of go back to this because I was thinking that this is also an idea that I thought was quite interesting that I heard about when this concept about like which thoughts are our own. Um, when I heard this idea, whoever it was, I don't remember exactly who it was, but they were talking about like a strategy, or like two main things you can do uh, whenever you're expressing yourself, because it's hard to know all the time when you're actually expressing an idea that is just your own idea, or if it's just a reiteration of something that you've heard that you've attached yourself to. So two things you can do. One is that don't make your the things you say or the things you believe in or your ideas, don't make them who you are. Just make them things that you're thinking, things that you're saying, but listen and be open minded to other people. And if they say things that challenge it, rather than like having to dig your heels more deeply into the sand and anchor yourself to the ideas that you're saying, allow yourself to challenge your own ideas. Be like, to the point where you think, okay, maybe I need to research this a little bit more. Maybe I thought this was one thing, but it's actually something a little bit different. And let's look into this more. Let's find out
So,
more about it. And then once I find out more about that, then decide what I'm going to think next. It's okay to change what you think. In other words, it's totally okay. Just because you think one thing today doesn't mean you have to think it for the rest of your life. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to maybe not even be wrong, but just decide that you're going to think a different way because you have new information that you didn't have before.
so it's like being objective
Trying
about the things you express.
it's that's the goal. The goal is to gear yourself towards being objective. Like, perhaps you can never actually get there, but maybe there's like, this is part of a strategy in order to aim for that, to aim for objectivity or for like objective truth, right? So there's
I guess we are getting close to the answer,
yeah.
because when we say objective, it means it has to be detached from emotions and perspectives and
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah, it's objectively
And
true no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter what you think, it doesn't matter what you believe. The truth is the truth, and that's it.
right. And doesn't that bring us back to AI?
How so?
Because whenever we ask AI something, it doesn't ever give a subjective answer. It always gives us the factual answers, statistical answers, most probable answers. And it mentions that, okay, this is what I have data, and this is what I have gathered from it. I don't know if it's completely true or not, but
Yeah, it's not
this is
really.
objective.
I don't know if you can say it's objective because again, objective to me is like, it's maybe objective in terms of opinion. So it's not attached to a particular opinion of sorts, but maybe you can say
It's
maybe you can,
unbiased, yeah.
but maybe you can argue that it is. Maybe I think you can actually make an argue that it is biased because the bias is formed based upon the amalgamation of all the information that it can gather and then looking at all that information, parsing it, packaging it, and it has to make a decision because if it has conflicting perspectives, in order to make a decision on one perspective versus the other, because that's what it tends to seem, it seems that that's what AIs are doing, is it's making a decision on, well, this is the correct answer and this isn't. And maybe that decision is made based upon how much more of this information is prevalent versus this information, or how much more this information seems to be aligned with the truth based upon more humans have interacted or talked about this information over here versus this seems to not be as popular of a view. So because it's not as popular, then it's going to give this information and not this information. So that is kind of a bias in a way, right?
Towards numbers.
Towards numbers. It's not saying only one person in the world believes this thing and everybody else believes this, but this is clearly the truth. Everybody's wrong. Like, how many times does that happen in history? How many times does that happen? Like
Right.
basically every Nobel, if like this is what I heard, I think this is true. I've heard that every Nobel Peace Prize winner at one time, like basically all of them were people that nobody believed them. Nobody
Hmm.
believed their worldview, the way that they saw things, the discoveries that they made. They thought they were incorrect, and then it took a lot of fighting and a lot of back and forth until eventually it was discovered that, oh, wait a minute, this person was actually right. And this person was like, a lot of people, like how many people have been cast out, have been hung, have been killed because they had a view that was based upon a discovery that they made that actually was the truth, and that was discovered after that person was jailed or cast out of society or killed. How many times has that happened in
Hmm.
history, right? So is AI able to figure that out? Like only a couple people believe in this, but this is obviously the truth. It doesn't matter that there's like everybody in the world believes these things besides a few people. It's not make. I don't know if it's going to be able to make that judgment as to like what is the actual objectivity of the information that it's providing.
So we'll have to dial back and we'll have to ask again. Uh, since we are asking how what percentage of the thoughts are our own, we'll first need to define how do we know if a thought is our own.
I think one way to know if a thought is your own, and we're going to look this up, but I'm thinking that if you can't, like, I'm not sure if this happened to you, but this happens to me a lot. Like, I'll say something and I'm like, I know where I learned about that. I know, like, somebody was talking about that. I learned about this information. I thought it was interesting. I put it in my memory, and now it's the right moment to divulge it, to discuss this thing that I had learned at some point from somebody. So, like, how many things have you discovered? Like, I know a couple things that I've discovered that were discoveries that I made all by myself with no resources, just my own mind, my own intuition, my own pattern recognition. I'm sure you've had moments like that too, right? Where you've
Yeah.
understood things and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this this here, I'm pretty sure this is right. And then you go and do a whole bunch of research, and then you find out that yes, it is correct, but you understand it from a totally different angle, and maybe you're able to discuss it from a different angle than other people might, because some folks are learning it in a very traditional way, the concepts, but because you didn't, you recognized it on your own. Now you can discuss it in using maybe different language or different terminology. Like you've really made that knowledge something you own that's really yours.
True.
Yeah. But I think there's far less of that than there. I think there's way more ideas and things that we talk about that are based upon things that we've heard or that things that we've learned from others. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just kind of the way it is.
Hmm. So is that the only thing that would define if the idea is our own? If we exactly remember how it came to us.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you can't remember how an idea came to you, then it might not be your own.
Hmm. Right. So now if we come into percentage, then whoa, that would be very small, very, very small, because we don't have that every day. We have that often, but not every day.
Sorry, what don't we have every day?
Those moments where we
Oh,
realize the connection, the pattern on our own, and sometimes it happens suddenly, and sometimes we are forcing to think in a particular direction,
yeah.
and it just happens.
Yeah, like I think this conversation we're having now, like part of it is our own ideas, but I know again, like this is coming from a discussion that I've overheard. that somebody was having. But I'm hearing you talk about it in a particular way that I didn't hear anybody else talking about it. So it's getting me to think more about what I truly think about things now. But I'm still using some of the things that I learned about from the discussion that I overheard. I'm still using that in order to be able to have this discussion with you.
Hmm. So maybe our mind is always, tuned to check a reference.
Maybe, maybe, maybe it's possible.
Having a reference helps.
I think it's hard. I think it's hard to come up with ideas and ways of thinking and opinions or points of view that are completely your own. I think it's hard to do that.
True.
Like completely your
Definitely.
own.
I think, yeah, statistically, of course, you're correct because now that I think of it, in terms of percentage, it would be very, very, very small percentage. The amount of thoughts we have versus we have of our own.
Yeah, because typically you learn certain things and you're like, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to think about stuff. That makes sense to me. I can relate to that, or that information or that way of thinking could be actually quite useful in a situation where I'm talking about something and then I'm trying to relate to somebody else, or I'm trying to kind of add some value to a discussion, or or a lot of times this happens. I'm not sure if this happens with you, but a lot of times like things are said. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I want to say that to somebody and see what they think about it. And then from that I'll maybe decide a little bit more about what I think about it. Like, oh, that's just interesting. I don't know what I actually think about it. Let's see what somebody else thinks about it. And then maybe I'll make up my mind a little bit more.
Yeah, I know someone who does that. I'm not particularly that kind of person who gets an idea and wants to discuss that immediately.
Hmm.
But I have a friend who is like that. Of course, he mostly has the ideas about marketing and business often.
Right.
But whenever he has that idea, he gets very excited and impatient and he has to tell it to someone. Okay.
Right.
So, yeah, I understand that perspective because that adds on to what you originally thought.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is one way to, delve deeper.
Sure.
But sometimes when I have these new thoughts or ideas, sometimes I feel, okay, I will write it down and maybe someday I will write a book on it or I'll share it with someone. And sometimes I feel, okay, this idea is pretty unique.
Right.
It is much more unique than the other ideas that I had. And I get this feeling that I'm not going to share this with anyone.
Hmm.
This is going to be just my very own idea.
Okay. That's interesting.
So now, that's even more personal to me. Something that I created my own, but I don't even want to share that. I want to keep it to myself.
Hmm.
Now,
Okay.
isn't that even rare than the original ideas that we have?
I think so. I think people like to share things that are interesting to them with other people because they want to see what somebody else might think of it. They're curious. It's like, I think this is kind of cool. I think this is kind of interesting. Let's see if somebody else thinks it's interesting. Let's talk about this with somebody who I respect their opinion, or I think they might know a lot about this topic, or I think they might not know very much about it, and this might be just kind of interesting and cool to hear their thoughts, if they have any,
Yeah,
about it.
or it could be a social experiment.
Yeah. Sometimes I do that too. I
Yeah.
just might talk about something and I'm like, I wonder what somebody might think about this. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm always learning about interesting things. So I was learning about, we're talking about AI again. There's there is this test that was done with fighter pilots where they had like the best fighter pilots in the world, or at least in the US, which is likely probably some of the best fighter pilots in the world, if not the best. They were going up against other fighter jets that are being controlled by AI. There's still an actual pilot, human pilot in the fighter jet, just in case something goes wrong or something goes weird. They're there to control the aircraft if need be, but otherwise they're just hands off, letting the AI do its thing. So the AI is competing against the human fighter pilots and to see who will win. And they did a whole bunch of different dogfights. And every time the AI won. And not by just a small amount. Like the human fighter pilots didn't even stand a chance. Didn't stand a chance. That's like just a really kind of a cool thing that I learned about, but also a little bit freaky if you think about it. Like, how soon will it be that that's how all of warfare is fought? With just AI is the one that's doing all the fighting. AI is the one that's controlling aircraft and tanks and boats and making all the decisions on the battlefield because it can do it faster and better. And then what we're going to have just like one AI system fighting another country's AI system? Just to see which one's better? I don't know. Just seems kind of wild. Anyways, point of me saying that is like, that's something really cool that I learned. And I remembered, and like, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, that is totally something that I want to bring up when I get the chance to, when the time is right, to bring it up in a variety of conversations, just to see what other people think about it. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But you don't do that as much?
Yeah, I jot it down and I think about it, I ponder over it, and sometimes I share it with others. But sometimes I don't even jot it down because remember I said I want some ideas to be just my own. So if I write it down, it becomes part of the internet, it becomes part of the server worldwide, it becomes part of the cloud, and
Right.
even AI now has access to all these apps that we are writing on. So you know, in a way, if we are writing it on a phone, we are essentially sharing it without even knowing it.
You mean like when you write on your phone to yourself?
Yeah, let's say you write a note
Yeah.
to yourself.
Yeah.
Your keyboard of the phone, it's tracking your words.
Sure.
It wants to it wants to make sense of what you're writing.
Sure.
So it's tracking that, and that is being tracked by Google, and that is being tracked by AI. So everything is basically connected. So even if I have such ideas that I feel I don't want to share with anyone, so I don't even write it on my notepad.
You write
And I think if it's
just old school on a piece of paper with a pen.
yeah, not even that, I just keep it in my memory, and I think if it is really that important, I'm not going to forget that.
I disagree with you on that point. I understand that mentality because I used to have it, but I disagree with you because the human memory is proven to be awful.
Yeah, I agree.
Awful. Like I know I've had some really good ideas of things because I used to write music all the time, and I used to have that mentality where it's like, if I don't remember the thing that I wrote, couldn't have been that great of an idea. But that's not true. Like there's a lot of things that I wrote that were really good, and I know they were really good, and I try to remember them, but I just can't. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have written that down. And they were really good ideas. I'm like, man, I wish I would have just recorded it or written it down or made some sort of record of it because it was a good idea. So I disagree.
So
with
maybe
you on
I can
that.
write it down in a maybe I can write it down in a cryptic language
You
that
could.
only I can decode.
Or you can put it in a safe. Get yourself a safe, write down a piece of paper, put it in your safe, and only you have the key. If you
Yeah,
want it to be something.
or I could just use a cryptic language, because using a safe is again a cryptography, because I'm again locking it with something specific.
But AI could break it.
Mm,
Probably.
possibly.
Probably. Did you know
Possibly.
that AI? I think we talked about this one time too. Like AI was able to translate like these like a variety of ancient languages that they've been spending like I don't know decades trying to decode, and AI was able
Yeah,
to figure
yeah.
it out in like 2 weeks.
So this could be a good, nice experiment. I can make a cryptic language of my own and give a statement to AI, and let's see if it can figure out.
Hmm. That'd be interesting. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah,
That would be really interesting.
I'll try that.
I want to ask now ChatGPT. I bet you could even do this. You could be like, ChatGPT, help me make a very cryptic
Oh,
language.
definitely, yeah.
It could for sure do it.
I've used AI to make these words by combining all these ancient languages.
Okay, that's cool.
So I came up with a set of words that are common to everyone that everybody uses. They're not daily use words, but these are the words that everyone goes through in the search of meaning. So I've
I'm
developed such
writing.
words.
How could I come up with such a language that even you could not decrypt?
Decrypt.
Okay. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's telling us how to do that step by step. That's pretty wild. I mean,
It's
kind of
telling us how to
scary
say it.
too. Kind of freaky, right? I mean, what
Yeah.
governments would be doing this right now? Use a
We are
strong,
essentially asked how to fool you.
yeah. Use a strong encryption algorithm to ensure that your language is undecipherable. Without the proper key, you should use a strong, well-established encryption algorithm. Modern encryption methods such as AES Advanced Encryption Standard are highly secure if implemented correctly. Generate a unique key. The security of your encrypted language will heavily depend on the secrecy of the key. Use a random key generator to create a unique complex key for encryption and decryption. This key should be kept confidential and should not be easily guessable.
Mm.
Create a custom cipher. If you want to go beyond standard encryption algorithms, consider designing a custom cipher. This can involve polyalphabetic ciphers. Use multiple substitution alphabets to encrypt the language, making frequency analysis more difficult. Transposition ciphers. Rearrange the letters or words in a way that make the original message unrecognizable. Homophonic substitution. Map each character to multiple possible substitutes, reducing the patterns that could be used for decryption. And it goes on and on.
Makes sense. So ultimately, it comes down to a conversion key,
Yeah.
which is only known by you.
Yeah.
So the longer the key, the more random the key, the more cryptic it becomes.
Yeah. Maybe
Unsolvable.
the more symbols you have,
Yeah.
the more symbols to your
Yeah, it's like a
alphabet.
password. Yeah.
Yeah, like a password. You could have like, what if every single word in the entire English dictionary was a different symbol?
Hmm. Yeah.
That would be hard to identify.
No, I think that would be easy because then it would be easy to get a pattern
You think so?
from statements. Yeah, for AI, I think it would take a few days maybe, but it would be able to figure out.
Do you think so?
The idea is to not feed any pattern.
Do you think that'd be a pattern though? If you took every single word in the English language and
Hmm.
you used a different symbol, a different unique symbol for each and every word.
Yeah, because it will reverse engineer and it will start with using the most common words. It will start with the. They will see in the paragraph if the is any three-letter word is repeated any number of times. They would
But how will it know that
straight
I'm
away get
used?
the.
But how would it know that I'm using English? I guess it will go
They
through
will
every
count
single
the,
language.
yeah, I think it would start with English itself because it's the universal language.
Hmm.
So it would start there, and if it finds that there are more than 26 letters, then it may try a different dialect.
Maybe.
Mm.
Well, again, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't. Yeah, it would be more than. Well, again, it would be more than 26 letters because, again, each symbol for every word in the English
Every
language,
word.
every
Oh,
word,
oh,
not every
I was thinking
letter.
about the
Yeah,
alphabets.
not every
Yeah.
letter, every word in the English language. So if there's, I don't know, how many words are in the English language, but there's might be a million words. I don't know. So then there'd be a million symbols.
Hmm.
That would be really difficult to decrypt, I would think. That would be
Hmm.
very difficult. So you'd start with like, to develop it, you'd have to start with like very simple sentence structure and like the most basic words, like take the 100 most commonly used words and then have a symbol that represented each one of those words. And then like the people involved would have to get to know each one of those symbols really well and what word it was tied to.
Hmm. Okay, so every word is given a different shape.
A different symbol, yeah, a different random symbol.
Uh, Yeah, I think it would take some time, but it is figure outable. Come to think of it, isn't that how babies learn? Babies, for babies, words are just sounds. They don't know letters. They don't know
Of course.
language. They just infer it from the context.
Yeah,
So AI is gonna try to find a pattern in the context. Maybe,
maybe,
yeah, once it finds just one single pattern, it knows it's on the right path, and it's
maybe.
gonna keep on going.
Maybe if you kept speaking to it in the language that you're using, it
Yeah,
would eventually start to figure it out little by little until it made some sort of
yeah,
breakthrough.
it's right. It's gonna ask you a question as a key. It's gonna ask you, like, how do you say my name is XYZ in your cryptic language? And that would become its key.
Right. I mean, I suppose it depends on how you answered it. So if you answered it like, I don't want to tell you in your cryptic
Mm.
language, but it wouldn't know that you're saying that. It might think that you're saying your name. Like you're answering it like, this is how you say my name. Right? So it wouldn't know that you're answering it one way or the other.
And if it is smart, it would look at both the possibilities, all the possibilities of the answers that you could have said.
True. 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 That's
And
a
it
good
would,
point.
mm, yeah,
So you
it's
still think
wild.
you still think it's possible that it would figure it out. You think it's likely that it would figure it out.
I think so because think about it. We had chess computer game in 80s
Hmm.
which would easily beat humans.
Right.
It had even grandmasters. It would beat grandmasters. It had a rating of what, 3600.
Something like that. Yeah. But the thing that's interesting about that is those chess systems or bots were only designed for that particular game. Like if you took the same bot and you try to get it to learn how to like to be able to play Monopoly or I don't know, checkers or some other game,
Yeah,
it
but now we have that because back then we didn't have that
I
computing
suppose
power.
so. I suppose so.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So now we can basically make AI win every game ever.
If I had enough time on my hands, I definitely would test this out. I'd come up with like some I'd take like the first 100 most popular words used when having a conversation in English, and I'd design a symbol for each one of those, and I'd sit there and I'd teach you it, and
Mm.
or I would just know it and I would be able to reference it, and then I would speak to ChatGPT using the language and see if it could figure out what I'm saying.
Mm. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try something. Not maybe the way that you described it, the symbols, but I'm definitely gonna try something cryptic this week.
Yeah. Maybe I just use like each like combination of letters of the alphabet. So I do like and all the symbols that are available on my keyboard. So like
Mm.
A is for one word, B is for another word, C is for another word, and then I go up to Z, and then AA is another word, AB is another word, AC is another word, and so on.
Mm. Oh yeah, we can just switch the you know keys.
Yeah. And then ABC is another word, and then eventually I use up all the A's, and then I go to like BA is a word, and BB is a word, and BC is a word. Like you could have infinite
Mm.
combinations, right? Then you could do like you can get up to A B C D E F G H I J, like all the letters of the alphabet in order is another word.
Mm. Yeah, there are many ways to make a cryptic language.
Yeah.
Let's see what AI does.
Okay. Okay. Keep me
So
posted.
that's our weekly exercise. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're going to do it because I'm not going to be able to do it. I'll tell you that right now. I don't think I'd
Yeah,
be able
I'm
to do it.
definitely going to do it.
Okay. Let me. You'll let me know how it goes next week.
Sure. And you know what would be more challenging for AI is to not let it know that I'm using a cryptic language and just start with it.
Yeah. 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 For sure. Oh, yeah. 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 Of course. Don't let it know.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Okay. So topics are cricket, India versus Canada prices, and cryptic language.
And before that, we were talking about thoughts,
Yeah,
lots and lots of
we
thoughts.
were. I usually like to pick 3 topics to point out in the title. So, would you rather replace one of the ones that I already suggested with thoughts?
Mm. Or maybe we can replace the first one because we weren't really talking about cricket in that much detail.
Okay.
So maybe we can just talk about countries.
Yeah, well, we were talking about
No.
India versus Canada prices. I think that was kind of cool.
Hmm.
And then, um, what about thoughts? How did you want to?
Original thoughts.
Okay, that's good. I'm down with that. And cryptic language.
Yeah.
Okay, done. I'm gonna head out because I gotta wake up early and I'm exhausted. The last like 4 or 5 nights I have not been sleeping very much, so I really want to be able to try to sleep a lot tonight. So I'm gonna go, and you're gonna tell me next week how it went with this cryptic language that you used with ChatGPT and see if it could decipher it. Yeah, I
Right.
bet at first it's gonna be like, "What in the world are you saying?" And then you're going to answer it back in the cryptic language, and it's still going to be confused. And just keep doing that. Just have a conversation. Let's see what happens. See if it figures
Yeah,
out that you're speaking in
definitely.
this cryptic language. Yeah.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have fun.
And if it keeps on giving this similar answer, then I'll have to finally tell it that okay, I was using cryptic language.
Yeah, and then see if it can then figure it out without telling it
Yeah.
anything about the language.
Yeah.
And maybe say something like, "Do you think you could figure out this language that I'm using?
Mhm.
It's encrypted." Yeah, interesting. Have fun with
Yeah.
it. Let me know how it goes next week. That'll be a fun discussion. Be kind of cool. And anything else that you wanted to say or do or talk about before we go?
Nothing comes to mind, so we can wrap it up. Yeah,
Let's wrap it up. Have an excellent week. An absolute pleasure.
you too.
And I had fun as always. And I will see you soon.
Same here, buddy.
Okay, man. Have
It
a
was
great week.
great.
Yeah, it's good.
Have a great week.
You
Yeah,
too.
bye.
See ya.